You ever wake up one morning thinking the worst thing on your mind is whether your coffee is going to taste burnt, and instead you find out your whole life is about to become a reality show? Yeah, that was me the day Karen became HOA president and decided my boat parked 50 feet from the water line was public enemy number one. You'd think, with all the things going wrong in the world, nobody'd care about a 22-foot cobalt gleaming in the morning sun. But Karen, clipboard in hand, lips pursed so tight you'd swear she'd never smiled in her life, had other plans. I'll never forget the first showdown. Sun barely up, tires crunching on gravel, her out there on my dock with two other board members who looked like they'd been tricked into joining a cult. She circled my boat like a vulture eyeing fresh roadkill. I stepped outside, tried to play it cool. "Good morning, Karen," I said, not even bothering to hide the smirk. She didn't look up. "This watercraft is in violation of HOA Regulation 4B1. You know the type. Loves a rule book more than her own family. Karen, that's my dock. Where else do boats go?" She met my eyes, cold as lake water. "That dock is community property. Your boat is obstructing access. Now I built that dock with my own two hands right on my deeded parcel. You're welcome to check the county map," I told her. She just smirked, dialing her phone, already mumbling about enforcement procedures. That's when I realized she wasn't just enforcing rules, she was launching a campaign. What followed was a parade of letters and fines. Violation notices, threats of impound, even a bright orange seizure notice slapped on my mailbox like I was hiding a meth lab, not a fishing boat. Check my security footage, sure enough, Karen herself, CSI-style flashlight in hand, taping up that warning like she was starring in her own episode. My wife told me to let it go, but that's never really been my style. So I started documenting everything. Photos, emails, timestamps, even an audio clip or two. Karen wasn't dumb. She was just dangerous, like someone who'd always wanted a badge and got handed a clipboard instead. The rumors about her ran deep. Lost 2 bids for city council. Ran her flower beds like a military parade. Used the HOA as her personal hit squad. Power's got to come from somewhere, right? Then things got crazy. Came home one day and my boat was gone. Gone. Rope ends dangling in the water, fresh tire marks leading off my grass. I didn't even bother with 911. Drove straight to Karen's. There it was, parked half-cocked across her driveway, still dripping. Tow straps hanging off trailer half on her lawn. Karen comes out, phone in hand. "You're trespassing," she said, like she's Judge Judy. "You stole my property," I shot back. "We repossessed an illegally moored vessel. It'll be released upon payment of all accumulated fines." She smiled like a politician caught on a hot mic. Claimed it was majority approval, which turned out to be her best friend and some guy she bribed with a landscaping exemption. Could have called the cops right then. Should have. But part of me wanted to see where this mess would go. So I left, grabbed a beer, and started planning. Filed a stolen property report quietly the next day. Sheriff's deputy showed up looking like he'd seen it all before. "You're not the first she's messed with," he said. "Once tried to ticket a guy for wind chimes. We'll handle it." But Karen caught wind, emailed the entire HOA painting me as a non-compliant disruptive member who verbally harassed board officials. Claimed my boat was unregistered and unsafe. That's when I knew this was war. That Friday over beers, I vented to my buddy Dave, who runs a tow service. He laughed so hard he nearly fell out of his chair. "Man, you know what'd make her lose it if that boat just turned up where she least wants it." Next morning, I'm at Dave's shop with a check and a grin. By sunset, we'd loaded my boat paperwork in hand, everything by the book. Dave handed me his tow truck keys. "You sure?" "Oh, I'm sure. I want to see her face." I backed the truck into her cul-de-sac just after 7 p.m., sprinklers going flag flying, Karen mid-gossip on her porch with a glass of wine. She saw me, eyes wide, mouth hanging. I didn't say a word, just dropped the trailer right across her driveway, locked the wheels, walked away. She sputtered about law enforcement and property damage. I shrugged. You said it's HOA property, right? Consider it a donation. Drove off with my heart pounding like a drum. By the time she called the sheriff, he was already waiting on my call. He nearly laughed over the phone. Technically, you just returned community property. That's when Karen realized this wasn't checkers. It was chess, and I'd just taken her queen. The next morning, the air felt different. Too still. I knew she'd try to hit back. Sure enough, there was a white envelope on my mailbox, embossed with the HOA seal like it was from the Supreme Court. Inside, a letter dripping with sanctimony. Accusations of willful destruction, malicious trespass signed by President Karen Langford. She'd set a hearing for Thursday at the clubhouse, probably already rehearsing her big speech. But see, I grew up with a father who worked county zoning enforcement, 30 years of procedural warfare. So I gathered every scrap, sheriff's report, property maps, emails, enough to make any lawyer sweat. Showdown night, the clubhouse smelled like carpet and hand sanitizer. Karen sat at the head of the table like Judge Dredd, the other board members looking like they wanted to disappear. Leonard, the old-timer, nodded at me, apologetic. Karen read out the charges. I corrected her. You mean my boat? Handed Leonard the folder. Registered owner. Formal complaint. Unauthorized removal by HOA. Karen fumed. Irrelevant. The board authorized impoundment. Without due process. Without even verifying property lines. That's theft. The crowd there for the cookies mostly started whispering. Karen snapped, "This is exactly why we need order." I leaned back. You're confusing order with control. Leonard coughed. I moved to dismiss all pending fines. 2 members nodded. Karen went white as a ghost. Majority vote, Leonard said. She stormed out, hands shaking. For a second I thought it was over. But you know how it goes, control freaks can't stand losing. 2 days later, city code enforcement showed up waving a complaint from, you guessed it, Karen. Alleged unsafe modifications to my dock. Officer pointed, sheepish. Ms. Langford filed the report. I almost laughed. But digging through public records, I found her own retaining wall, built without a permit, denied approval years ago, called code enforcement back. You might want to check Birch Hollow Lane. That afternoon, a city truck parked at Karen's. She stormed out in her robe, cursing harassment. Neighborhood email lit up with her accusations. But now people were talking, everyone had a Karen story. The tide was turning. Saturday night, I caught 2 guys trying to tow my boat contracted by the HOA with a half-baked removal order. I called the sheriff. Deputy showed up, told them to pack it up. Karen marched down the street, furious. He's a troublemaker. He thinks he's above the rules. The deputy just said, "And you think you're the sheriff?" Funny how that works. Tow guys left. Karen stormed home. That's when I realized she could only win if she controlled the narrative, so I started chipping away. Found a tiny strip of unclaimed land between my lot and the HOA path. Karen's claim was bogus. I didn't tell her. I just waited. One night she tried another confrontation, blustering about conduct unbecoming of a community member. I grinned. Perfect. Then I'll have witnesses when the truth comes out. That night I emailed the entire community, calmly laying out every fact. At the end, I dropped a single bomb. Certain board members have made unauthorized alterations without permits. Didn't even need to say her name. The next day, the group chat was chaos. Half the board furious at Karen, the other half panicking the county would come after them. Karen doubled down, accused me of defamation. The regional mediator, Michael, showed up in a white SUV, listened to both sides, flipped through my folder, then calmly told Karen her unpermitted wall spoke to selective enforcement. Her face went pale. The power was slipping. She retaliated by replacing my mailbox with a custom-made bright pink community member in review box. I installed it proudly. Neighborhood laughed memes flew Karen's grip, evaporating faster than dew on the dock. Finally, I requested a formal audit of the HOA. Michael replied within the hour. Understood. I'll initiate review. The fuse was lit. The audit went nuclear fast. Missing receipts, unauthorized fines, leaked emails showing Karen fast-tracked landscaping reimbursements for her friend. The board held an emergency meeting. The place was packed, people shouting, sharing war stories. Leonard motioned to suspend her majority vote. Done. Karen, stunned, walked out, throne built on sand crumbling beneath her. For a minute, peace. But petty vengeance doesn't just quit. Karen called in vandalism complaints, knocked over my trash cans, slashed my boat cover, even tried to start a fire under the trailer. Cameras caught her at 2 a.m. with a screwdriver. I sent the footage to the sheriff and Michael. They arrested her for trespassing and attempted property damage. Watching her hollow-eyed, cuffed in front of the whole cul-de-sac, it should have felt triumphant. It didn't. It just felt final. Then came the lawsuit, civil damages, harassment, emotional distress. She wanted leverage, not money. But while she geared up for court, news broke she'd been arrested again for violating a protective order in a neighboring HOA. Her lawsuit vanished. Whispers said she was under psych evaluation. Her house, repossessed flower beds, overrun sign, faded and rotting. It was over, right? Not quite. Couple weeks later, I helped the new owners move in. Found a hidden lockbox behind fresh drywall papers, receipts, and a flash drive labeled HOA, records private. Forged letters, fake invoices, proof she'd been skimming money for years. Sent it all to Michael. The next day, Karen's car was found abandoned. She'd fled, warrant issued for fraud. Seasons changed. One cold morning, I got a letter her estate was being settled and I could have her journals or destroy them. I asked for the box. Reading through her neat, anxious handwriting, I finally saw her truth. It wasn't just about power. It was fear of being irrelevant, of losing control. Her final words haunted me. The lake remembers everything. I stood at my dock, burned her journal, watched the words vanish into smoke, and realized Karen was never really gone. Every echo on the water, every creak in the night, maybe it was memory, maybe it was her. I joined the board, helped rewrite every bylaw, transparent, fair, and human. Neighborhood healed, laughter returned, and peace finally stuck around for a while. But sometimes when the mist curls low over the lake, I still hear the faint clink of chains or see a shape slip across the water. Karen became the neighborhood's ghost, a warning etched into every ripple. And me, I stayed to remember, to remind everyone that real community isn't built on fear. It's built on trust and the courage to stand up when someone tries to turn your home into their kingdom. So, here's my question. What would you have done? Ever had your own? Karen, drop your story below, and don't forget to subscribe for more HOA madness.